Hey y'all, I'm Tim. Get excited, hit that like button. We got a great one for you today. Today, we're here with Gil, the real deal, McNeil, here at Burkland Gardens. And so excited, top 5 conifers. Smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and always sign up for our weekly emails on MrMaple.com. How long have you been growing conifers for?
Well, I've been interested in hunting for 25 years and just started my retirement years the last 5 years or so.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
yeah.
He's got conifers everywhere out here. He knows his conifers. And so we'll jump right into your top 5 conifers. I'm so excited here to be here in the state of Washington, the other side of the country for us, talking about some conifers. It's pretty cool.
Sounds good.
Well, I appreciate you having us here today. Y'all, number 5, you got a cool one here. What do you have at number 5?
So I've got Pseudotsuga menzies. That's a hard one to say, but it's Douglas fir tree that grows up here in the Pacific Northwest. And it's just a pendula or pendulous form. And just the one, it grows quite large, so you'll need the space for it in your garden if you have a large yard or a piece of property. But all the limbs will grow straight up, and then all the limbs will hang down, and it's just a gorgeous tree.
I think that's such a cool plant. The Doug fir out here is sort of like a staple out here in the Pacific Northwest.
It's a tree that has provided timber for home construction for many years. It's one of the strongest woods, or maybe the strongest wood for construction, home construction.
That weeping form, though, just gives you something special, something different.
Yeah.
I saw one once that was sort of shaped like an elephant.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things you can do with those pendulous forms.
Right.
You can train them, shape them, or just let them go and just have that gorgeous cascading habit. You've got a gorgeous specimen back out here in the back.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
So now we're down here to his number 4. Gil, what do you have at number 4?
So I have Icebreaker. It's Abies coreana, which is a Korean fir. So Icebreaker came on the scene, maybe 30 years ago, 20,
Yeah, about
30
that.
years ago. But then it got into production. It was hard to get. But it is has the most silver in it. The needles curl to show the silver underside of the Icebreaker. And it'll just glow, and it's slow growing, 2 to 3 inches a year, typical growth, per year on that one, and it'll grow flat. Typical of a lot of flat things, not always, but they'll put a leader out, and when Icebreaker does that in 10 or 12 years, typically, you can cut that out if you want to keep it flat, or you can create a very slow, upright, conical, very broad at the bottom type plant. So you have some choices, but really a gorgeous tree.
I love Icebreaker, sometimes known as Kohut's Icebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
It was found by Kohut as a witch's broom on the cultivar Hortsman's Silverlock. And that's probably one of the most popular conifers out there in the nursery trade. And then you have this little dwarf witch's broom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to make sure those abies get good drainage. If you're in the deep south, you want to make sure they're grafted onto firma. But I mean, Silverlock is an amazing cultivar, but then a dwarf version of that with Icebreaker.
Yeah.
I mean, that is such a cool plant, how the needles recurve backwards. And then you've got this tight little bun there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a collector plant, but it adds a lot of color to those small places in the garden.
It does. So yeah, definitely it's, I think it could be in almost everybody's top 5 or 10 because it's such a great conifer. And there's a lot of good conifers out there.
Now, your first 2, your top 5 and your number 4, those are both firs.
Yeah.
And
now, technically, Pseudotsuga isn't a true fir.
Yeah.
And when we distinguish that, sometimes people will say true fir, but to distinguish the Douglas fir, which is its own species, with Pseudotsuga false cypress, meaning a false hemlock.
Yeah.
Sorry. and so that is so they're somewhat closely related, but not the same. But,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I do have a difference in there.
Well, next up at number 3, I think you've got a compact Piscia Abs at your number 3 spot.
Yeah, I just recently acquired this tree, and it's a specimen one. So Piscia Abs Waldbrunn, and it is just low growing, probably 25 years old. This one that's in my possession right now. The color is outstanding, a gray blue, and so it's the trunk. There's no graft union, so it doesn't show any graft union. I'm you know, I'm gonna have a hard time selling that plant, Tim. So it's like, it's I'm gonna keep it around for a while and enjoy it. So
Waldbrun's such a cool plant.
it is.
I mean, it has that sort of nest-like habit.
Yeah.
It was from Waldbrun, Germany,
Mm-hmm.
found by a guy named Friedrich, and it is just crazy because it gives you that good color. I mean, it's like that silver blue kind of color that just sort of shines.
Yeah.
It's not your blue, but it's like a silver blue that's just vibrant and it attracts you. It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
It's got this little aura about itself.
Yeah.
And such a cool little dwarf Piscia Abs.
I love the blues and this blue, and then the like the Piscia glaucas, they have that blue, gray blue color too. But this one is that type of color that a little more subtle, but really, really pretty. Yeah. So number 2 on my list is a cork bark Japanese black pine. So Thunbergii is the Pinus thunbergii is the botanical name, and it is just such an outstanding tree used for bonsai. A lot are Nowaki in the garden, so the Nowaki would be your Japanese garden style, and you can develop pads on them in the cork bark. It develops this deep grooves or fissures, and the bark just looks very old at an earlier age. So the one I have here is about 25 years old, so it is old, but it gives an appearance of being much older than that. And they can be developed into, again, these clouds are called, or pads that just give it that Japanese garden look.
Yeah, I love the cork bark Japanese black pine. I love the black pine just as a conifer because it is shade tolerant enough that it can grow in my 55% white poly and still grows vigorously and dense in that condition. But it's also salt tolerant. It can handle the coast of the East Coast and be out there, getting that salt spray that not many other conifers could handle. The variety corticosa, the cork barks, those are some of my favorite. I mean, it gives you that aged appearance. It's easy for so many people to grow. I mean, it can grow in so many different climates. It's highly adaptable. And that's the thing that I love about it, because it can handle the sun, definitely. I mean, it's a conifer, but it can also handle a little more shade where a lot of my Japanese maple people are growing. And I just think there's not enough selections of the Pinus thunbergii, especially the cork bark selections. I mean, those things are amazing how they just cork up and they just have that aged appearance to them. I mean, it's exactly what people are looking for bonsai, but just for your garden, it just gives you that look like this tree is 300 years old and a much younger tree.
Sure, you don't have to put it in a tiny little pot. You can have it in your garden. It can grow in the soil. It does take to maintain it. If you want to maintain it as a Nowaki style and have the clouds, every year you're going to have to do some pruning on it. And it's interesting. I just had a customer today looking at the pine that we have here, and they were asking. They live on the saltwater right here, and I couldn't give them a really accurate. I thought it would be fine, but what you're saying is exactly what I thought, but couldn't give them a clear, concise answer. So
it's an awesome plant for that. I mean, I've got a lot of customers and a lot of friends who have nurseries on the coast, and they swear by it. They're like, "This is the best conifer for the coast," and such a cool plant. I mean, people need to be doing more Pinus thunbergii. I mean, they're one of the coolest pines to me.
Yeah.
So I'm awesome. I'm glad it came down to your number 2.
Well, we're doing. We mentioned Dave Helms, my friend that does the grafting.
Yeah.
So he grafted quite a few last year, and he's going to be doing some more. I think you guys out at MrMaple do Japanese black pine, the cork barks as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
they're awesome.
Yeah, you get them in your garden.
Yeah, exactly. So we're down to your number 1.
Okay.
All the way down to your number 1.
And number 1 is Metasequoia glyptostroboides Gold Rush. Now I love all the Metasequoias. That's for the most part, and Sherman's Nordlich, Matthias Broom, Disgrace, all those different cultivars. But Gold Rush, such an outstanding tree, and it's deciduous, so it's going to lose its needles. But the gold color is just so outstanding, and it doesn't fade in the sun or burn in the sun. It just gets more intense throughout the year, and then be ready for it to lose its needles about this time of the year. They're still holding on here. It's late October, but it won't be long and they'll be dropping. But what an outstanding. I have 2 in my own yard that are about 25, 30 feet tall. I enjoy those trees. I can drive down my driveway, see it, and one in my backyard. So quite an enjoyable tree.
I love Gold Rush. It gives you that yellow color. Y'all all know I love the color yellow. And you get it in a deciduous conifer. that grows fairly fast.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes a statement out there in the landscape because it gets to be a decent sized tree out there in the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes right before fall, you can get some, right in fall, you can get some nice orange bronzes on the fall color as well with Gold Rush. I mean, it is a cool deciduous conifer that, I mean, people always think about conifers, but they normally don't think about the deciduous conifers.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dawn Redwoods can give you that nice, mature Dawn Redwood, some really nice barking on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a cool plant.
Yeah.
I love the Dawn Redwoods. Crazy thing is that a lot of the original selections of Dawn Redwoods all came from one collection from the valley where they found Dawn Redwoods, brought them to America and to Europe all at once, and from that spawned off a lot of the cultivars like Silhouette, White Spot, Ogon, Gold Rush. I mean, all these different selections started coming off of that one collection.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And they thought that it was extinct.
Yeah.
And they found them in this valley and then started spraying them around in like the 1950s or 60s. And then people started making selections from them. And a lot of those characteristics all came from that very first collection.
Yeah.
And the Dawes Arboretum now has done a second collection from that same valley and are finding all different traits again. And so it's like how much variations in Dawn Redwoods in the wild? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, I didn't know that. I knew the story of, when they were found in, was it 1945, 1946?
Yeah, I think right around there, yeah.
Right around there. So, had fossil records, but didn't know that they, were still growing and then to find them. And then they have cultivars come off that quickly and really outstanding cultivars.
Yeah. So it's so cool that people can start finding all these traits when you're just looking. And since Dawn Redwoods made such a statement, people were like, man, look at these things. I mean, more people have been selecting through them. It's so cool. Ogon, though, that yellow color out there in the landscape, it's such a good tree. It's underused, I think, still, because it can go in a lot of places that people naturally grow like a bald cypress.
Right.
But then you can have that yellow color on top of that.
Yeah.
And
they'll take wet conditions as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, my maples can't handle wet conditions. A lot of my conifers can't handle wet conditions. But a Dawn Redwood can give you an ornamental characteristic in that wetter spot in the garden.
Yeah. So.
Well, y'all, that was Gil of Burkland Gardens, top 5 conifers, the real deal McNeil right here. You've got a YouTube channel as well called Burkland Gardens.
I do.
So make sure you go give that a subscribe as well. Y'all can find that here on YouTube. Go give him a subscribe. And if someone's wanting to come by and visit your farm, what's the best way for them to contact you?
So you can contact me through email, Gil at Burkland Gardens. Certainly can text or call me, and that number is available either online. Our website isn't a good place to contact me through, but and then we actually it does come up on Google searches, especially locally. So it's kind of a small nursery, but I get calls all the time about getting unusual trees.
So send him an email, gil@burklandgardens.com, if you want to visit him here. We're staying right now in Mount Vernon, Washington. So if you're in this area, give him a shout, come by and visit. He's got cool conifers everywhere out here. He's got specimens out here. He's got tons of small conifers as well. So come check out Gil's place. And Gil, I appreciate you jumping on the top 5 today.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being on our channel. We really appreciate it. Y'all take care. God bless and have a great day.